The year is 1944. Montana is on the brink of change. Spencer Dutton, having lived through the devastating losses of his past, is now forced to reckon with the heavy responsibility of raising his sons and holding on to the family legacy. But in the shadows of his family's land, new enemies are emerging, and dark secrets are about to surface. This is no longer about survival, it's about fighting for the soul of the Dutton family. The Duttons' world has always been a brutal one. From the unforgiving landscapes of Montana to the constant threat of outsiders seeking to tear apart their legacy, they've never had it easy. But as the dust settles after Spencer's tragic losses, a new chapter begins in 1944, one that promises to be darker, bloodier, and more intense than anything we've seen before. Spencer Dutton, now a seasoned survivor, has stepped into a role that would have once seemed impossible to him. The weight of the Dutton Ranch is now firmly on his shoulders, and with it, the burden of leadership. But leadership is a dangerous game, especially when the lines between friend and foe are as blurred as they are in Montana. Spencer, a man hardened by loss and battle, isn't the same naive rancher he once was. He's a force to be reckoned with, a man who knows that every decision, every move, could be his last. The tension between him and his sons, however, is palpable. As they grow older, Spencer's children are starting to carve out their own paths, and not all of them align with their father's vision for the future. There's a deepening rift between tradition and the desire for something new. The younger Duttons are grappling with their place in a rapidly changing world, one where the ranch may no longer be the heart of the family's existence. They're forced to confront their own beliefs, their own roles, and the legacy that Spencer has worked so hard to preserve. The question is, can they continue to fight for that legacy, or will the weight of the past be too much to carry? In the midst of all this turmoil, the family faces external threats that could bring them to their knees. Rumors of land developers eyeing the Dutton Ranch surface, and with that comes the looming threat of outsiders trying to seize what's rightfully theirs. This isn't just about money. It's about power, control, and the destruction of everything the Duttons have built over the years. With every passing day, the Duttons' grip on their land becomes weaker, and Spencer must decide how far he's willing to go to protect it. The backdrop of World War II looms large in this season. Although the war is reaching its end, its effects are far from over. Spencer himself carries the scars of his service, both physical and emotional. His time on the front lines has changed him, hardened him in ways that even his closest family members struggle to understand. The brutal reality of war has forced him to question what matters most in life. Is it the ranch? The land? Or is it the people who have always been there? The family that has fought beside him through thick and thin? Spencer doesn't know the answer yet. But one thing is certain. He'll do whatever it takes to protect his sons from the horrors of the world he once fought in. But as Spencer tries to hold on to the past, a new wave of danger approaches. The Duttons' enemies are no longer just on the horizon. They are here. And they are more dangerous than ever. In the shadows, a group of men with their own agenda begins to plot against the Duttons. They want the land, they want the power, and they'll stop at nothing to take it. Spencer may have faced battlefields across the globe, but nothing could prepare him for the fight that's coming to his doorstep. With each passing day, the tension grows, and Spencer is faced with impossible choices. How much is he willing to sacrifice to keep his family safe? How far will he go to preserve the legacy of the Duttons? The clock is ticking, and the stakes couldn't be higher. As the Duttons prepare for the fight of their lives, the question remains, will they be able to defend what is theirs, or will they be forced to let go of everything they've ever known? In the midst of all this chaos, Spencer's sons are starting to find their own voices. While Spencer has always been the protector, it's clear that the next generation is ready to rise. But will they stand united with their father, or will they go their separate ways? Their paths are uncertain, but one thing is clear. They'll each play a critical role in the future of the Dutton family. Will they carry on the legacy, or will they forge their own destinies? Only time will tell. As the season progresses, secrets that have been buried for years begin to surface. Old grudges resurface, alliances are tested, and new enemies emerge from the shadows. Spencer Dutton and his sons may have survived the horrors of war, but they'll need to fight the battle of their lives to survive what's coming next. The Dutton legacy is under threat like never before, and this time, the stakes are personal. The fate of the Dutton family and the land they hold dear rests on the shoulders of Spencer and his sons. In 1944, it's not just about surviving, it's about winning. And as the trailer promises, this will be a battle that leaves no one unscathed. Will Spencer Dutton rise to the challenge, or will he and his sons be the last to stand in a family history written in blood and sacrifice? The answer, as always, is just one decision away. And that decision could change everything. The simmering tensions within the Dutton family are about to boil over. As Spencer Dutton takes the reins, the weight of leadership begins to take its toll. His relationship with his sons has always been complicated, but now it's on the verge of crumbling. The land, the legacy, and the Dutton name have always been at the center of their world, but as time moves on, that world is rapidly changing. The Duttons' grip on the ranch is slipping, and each of Spencer's sons seems to have different ideas on how to move forward. The oldest son, Ethan, is the most like Spencer in many ways. He's strong-willed, dedicated, and shares his father's love for the ranch. But the younger generation has grown up in a world far removed from the harsh realities of their ancestors. Ethan, though loyal to his father, is beginning to question the values that have been passed down to him. As the ranch faces more external pressure, he finds himself torn between staying and defending his family's land and pursuing opportunities beyond the ranch. His desire for independence is growing, and it threatens to drive a wedge between him and Spencer. But the land they've fought so hard to protect, isn't something Spencer is willing to give up so easily. The question is, how far will Spencer go to keep his family together? Meanwhile, Spencer's younger son Isaac is a different kind of man. While Ethan is the embodiment of his father's ideals, Isaac has always been the more restless one. He's never felt fully at home in the world of cattle and ranching. Isaac has always dreamed of a life outside the boundaries of Duttonland, and as the world enters a new era, he's becoming more and more determined to make his own path. But Spencer is not the type to let his son walk away so easily. He's already lost too much, and the thought of losing another piece of his family, especially his sons, is something Spencer can't bear. The struggle between father and son reaches a boiling point, with each trying to prove their own version of what it means to be a Dutton. As tensions within the family rise, so does the pressure from the outside world. The land developers are no longer just a distant threat. They're here, and they're hungry for what the Duttons have built. They're working with influential people in Montana, people who have no interest in the history of the land or the family that has fought to protect it. They see it as nothing more than a commodity, something to be sold off to the highest bidder. But Spencer isn't the kind of man to bow down to anyone, especially not to people who want to erase his family's legacy. The battle for the ranch becomes not just about land, but about identity. For Spencer, the Dutton name means everything. It's his blood, his history, and his responsibility to protect. He knows that if he loses the ranch, he loses everything. The ranch is the foundation of the family, and without it, the Duttons cease to exist. But even as he fights to hold on, he knows that his own legacy is slipping through his fingers. And then there's the growing threat from the local community. While the developers are a looming presence, the people who live in the surrounding areas have always had their eyes on the Duttons. The ranch, with its vast stretches of land and resources, is a target for many. Old rivalries are reigniting, and the once close-knit community is splintering. Neighbors who once shared a drink and a laugh are now eyeing each other with suspicion and resentment. The Duttons' every move is being watched, and it's not just the land developers who are looking for a way in. The tension between the Duttons and their neighbors is rising, and Spencer finds himself forced to confront this growing hostility head-on. As the pressure mounts, Spencer is forced to rely on more than just his strength to protect his family. In the past, he fought with his fists, but now he must fight with his mind. The battlefield has shifted, and in this new world, every decision he makes could be the difference between survival and destruction. The world of the Duttons is becoming more complex, and Spencer finds himself in a fight he may not be prepared for. The war may have ended, but for Spencer and his family, it's only just begun. In the midst of all this chaos, Spencer's relationship with his sons continues to fracture. He knows that if they can't stand together, they'll fall apart. But getting them to understand the importance of unity isn't easy. Each son has their own dreams, their own ambitions, and Spencer fears that their differences will tear the family apart at a time when they need each other the most. Can he reconcile their differing paths, or will the family be split apart, each following their own destiny? As Spencer faces these internal and external challenges, his sons must also come to terms with their own futures. Ethan's loyalty is tested, and Isaac's desire for freedom pushes him further away. Will Spencer be able to bring them back into the fold, or will the Dutton family's unity be irreparably shattered? With every passing moment, the stakes grow higher, and the weight of the Dutton legacy becomes more suffocating. The battle for the ranch is about to reach its most dangerous point. The Duttons are no longer just fighting for survival, they're fighting for their very identity. As enemies close in from all sides, Spencer and his sons must decide whether they will fight for the land that has defined them, or if they'll be forced to let go of the past. What will be left of the Dutton family if they lose everything they've worked for? The answers to these questions may just redefine the Dutton legacy forever. With tensions at an all-time high, 1923 Season 3 dives deeper into the emotional heart of the Dutton family, revealing that while land may be the battleground, legacy is the war. As Spencer struggles to hold his sons close, he begins to uncover something even more dangerous than outside threats: secrets buried deep within the family's past. And the closer he gets to the truth, the more he realizes that some ghosts never stay buried. One of the biggest reveals this season revolves around the mysterious widow. Yes, the same one Elsa mentioned in her final narration. For years, Spencer has been raising his sons with dignity and restraint, refusing to speak much about their mother. Now, as the boys grow older and start asking questions, the truth begins to slip through the cracks. Rumors swirl about who she was, where she came from, and what really happened between her and Spencer. Was she a war widow Spencer met while serving overseas? Was she someone from the past that Spencer tried to keep hidden? The answers aren't simple, and the fallout is set to shake the family to its core. And just when you think you've figured it out, Season 3 introduces a stranger to the ranch. A woman, older now, weathered by time, arrives in Montana claiming to know secrets about the Duttons no one else should. She doesn't want the land. She doesn't want money. She wants closure. But what kind of closure is she looking for? And more importantly, how is she connected to Spencer's past and to his son's future? Her presence reignites old pain, opens old wounds, and forces Spencer to confront decisions he made decades ago. Decisions that could cost him his son's trust. While Spencer is dealing with the shadows of his past, his sons are facing the pressures of the present. Ethan, feeling the full weight of expectation, begins to take on more leadership at the ranch. He's seen what's coming, and he knows his father can't do it all alone. But with leadership comes enemies, and some of those enemies are closer than anyone expects. A betrayal from within the community puts Ethan's life at risk, and shows him that legacy isn't just something you inherit, it's something you have to fight to protect. Isaac, on the other hand, continues to pull away. After an explosive argument with Spencer, he disappears, leaving behind only a letter and a trail that leads into dangerous territory. He's not just running away from the ranch, he's running towards something bigger, something darker. Caught up in a group that sees the Duttons as the root of Montana's problems, Isaac finds himself used as a pawn in a much larger game. What starts as a quest for identity quickly turns into a fight for his soul. Will he find his way back to his family, or will he help tear it down from the inside? Meanwhile, the threat from the developers grows more violent. They've partnered with powerful men with influence in politics, law enforcement, and banking. One by one, the Duttons' allies are silenced, their deals blocked, and their land squeezed by lawsuits and buyout offers they can't afford to refuse. Spencer tries to hold the line, but even he begins to see the walls closing in. The ranch is bleeding, financially, emotionally, spiritually, and Spencer knows he can't hold out forever. Not alone. In one of the season's most intense arcs, the Dutton Ranch is hit where it hurts most. A fire, started under mysterious circumstances, destroys part of the cattle barns. Though no one is hurt, it's a message. The war is no longer just about money. It's personal. The attackers leave behind a symbol, one Spencer recognizes from his time in Africa during World War I, a brutal reminder that this fight isn't new. It's global. And whoever is behind it, they're sending a clear signal. The old ways are dying. Make way for progress, or be buried with the past. But if there's one thing history has taught us, it's that Duttons don't go down without a fight. With every attack, every betrayal, every crack in the family, Spencer begins to remember who he used to be. The man who survived war, the man who fought tooth and nail for the woman he loved, the man who swore to protect his family at all costs. That man is coming back. And this time, he's not just defending a ranch. He's defending everything he has left. At the same time, we start to see flashbacks, pieces of Spencer's past that have never been shown before. His time with Alex, their happiest moments, their hardest trials, her final days, and it all paints a portrait of a man who's lost more than most could bear. These glimpses into Spencer's memory don't just add depth, they reveal motives. Every decision, every rule, every warning he's ever given his sons stems from one simple truth. He's terrified of losing again. Season 3 isn't just building toward a battle, it's building toward a reckoning. Every member of the Dutton family must decide who they are, what they stand for, and how far they're willing to go to protect what's theirs. The ranch is no longer just land, it's a symbol of survival, of sacrifice, of blood spilled across generations. But survival comes at a cost. And as Spencer begins to realize, some prices may be too high, even for a Dutton. By the end of this section, it's clear there's no turning back. Spencer and his sons are on a collision course with destiny, and not everyone will make it out alive. As 1923 Season 3 storms into its second half, the pace shifts from emotional tension to full-blown suspense. The Duttons are now at war, on all fronts. Internally, the family is fractured. Externally, enemies close in with tactics more ruthless than ever before. Every move Spencer makes is watched, every word is twisted, and every ally is a potential traitor. This isn't just a story about a family defending a ranch. This is a story about legacy under siege. Spencer Dutton is pushed to his limits. For decades, he's lived under the weight of grief. First Alex, then the war, and now the growing distance from his sons. But in this season, we see a version of Spencer we've never seen before. Sharper, colder, strategic. Gone is the man who hoped to preserve peace. What remains is the man who has nothing left to lose. And when a Dutton reaches that point, it means someone's about to pay the price. The land developers aren't playing games anymore. After the fire, they double down, targeting the ranch's water rights and filing false claims to block the Duttons from using their own land. Legal attacks come like waves, backed by judges and officials who've long since been bought. The Duttons are being choked out without a single bullet fired. But Spencer isn't fighting alone anymore. He calls on old war contacts, allies from Africa and Europe, men who owe him favors, men who know how to operate in the gray. We're introduced to one of those men in a quiet but chilling scene. A former intelligence officer, now hiding in the mountains of Montana under a new name. He brings more than just knowledge of war. He brings secrets. One of those secrets ties back to the mysterious group funding the land grabs. They're not just businessmen, they're part of a larger network. An early post-war syndicate trying to reshape the American West, piece by piece, and the Dutton land is the last piece they need. While Spencer begins to unravel the bigger conspiracy, back at the ranch, Ethan finds himself stepping up in ways he never expected. With his father away handling the legal war, Ethan is left to manage day-to-day operations, cattle drives, security, and now the family's safety. It's the first time he truly feels the weight his father has carried all these years, and it's also the first time he understands why Spencer is so unyielding. But that understanding comes too late. Isaac returns, but not the way the family hoped. He's changed, more hardened, more distant, with a new fire in his eyes. At first, the family welcomes him home, relieved to see him safe. But it soon becomes clear he's not the same. Isaac has seen too much, and worse. He's brought danger with him. The group he ran with before returning isn't done with him. And now, their fight becomes the Duttons' fight. One night under the cover of darkness, intruders breach the ranch perimeter. What begins as sabotage quickly turns into violence. Fences are cut, livestock is poisoned, and one of the ranch hands, loyal since Jacob Dutton's time, is found murdered. It's the first death on Dutton land in years, and it's personal. Spencer returns home to the sight of blood on the soil and fury in his eyes. This isn't business anymore. It's vengeance. The murder sets off a chain reaction. Spencer goes into isolation, returning to the quiet places of the ranch where he and Alex once dreamed of peace. But it's there, in the silence, that he rediscovers his purpose. Not just as a rancher, but as a protector. He calls a meeting with his sons, and in a rare moment of emotional clarity, he lays everything out. The past, the truths, the enemies, the future. He asks one question. Are you ready to fight for this land? Not just with your hands, but with your hearts? For the first time in the season, Ethan and Isaac stand beside their father. Different as they are, divided as they've been, they know this land is worth protecting, not just for themselves, but for the generations who came before. And in that moment, the Duttons are united. But unity doesn't mean safety. The group opposing them, the syndicate, isn't going to back down. They're planning something big, something public, something that could destroy the Dutton name forever. Word spreads that a hearing is coming. A federal inquiry into the ranch's land claims, livestock practices, and water usage. But this isn't about legality. It's a setup, a final move to discredit the Duttons in front of the entire state and seize the land once and for all. Spencer knows it, and he's not going to let it happen. He digs through decades of documents, old land surveys, even Jacob Dutton's journals. Somewhere in the past is the key to protecting the future. He finds an old deed, signed, witnessed, and sealed, granting the Duttons ownership under a federal land trust no one remembered. If he can prove its authenticity, the syndicate's case crumbles. But there's one problem. The original witness, an old friend of Jacob Dutton, is long presumed dead. His last known location? A reservation in northern Wyoming. Spencer decides to track him down himself, knowing it might be a wild chase or a trap. Ethan and Isaac are left in charge of the ranch, and tensions rise again. Without Spencer's leadership, they must prove they're ready, and this time, failure isn't an option. As Spencer rides off to find the last piece of the puzzle, the ranch braces for what's coming. Armed guards, locked gates, and a town watching their every move. The hearing is just days away. If they win, the land is safe. If they lose, it's over. No more Dutton Ranch, no more legacy, just a memory. And in the distance, clouds are gathering. The storm isn't coming. It's already here.